So we've just come off a very, very interesting discussion on cloud kitchens. And we're now at the final session for today and for this event. But it is definitely, the best. We've left the best for the last because it is one of the most crucial aspects in any facility. And here we're talking about training. So this session is going to talk about training in the kitchen. um, if there is one takeaway from all that we've discussed in the past 2 days, it is the importance of training in education. The more you are aware of how to clean, when to clean, what to clean, and how to customize it according to your surroundings and services, the better you can clean and the better the results. So let's hear more about this from our panel of experts. Before we proceed, let me just quickly introduce our panel. We have João, Hospitality Academic Director from Bunyan in Saudi Arabia. João has 20 plus years of experience in the hospitality industry. He has an MSc from EHL and is a certified business trainer from IAS Paris in 2019. He started his career path with IHG and Hilton Haptor and worked with several EU NGOs in developing green and environmental touristic destinations in the Middle East Africa region. He relocated to Saudi in 2019 as the Director of Hospitality and Business Development for a group of companies before joining Bunyan or EHL for vocational training in KSA in the capacity of Center Director. We also have with us Chef João Filipe Martins Garcia, the head chef of Bistro des Arts at Gates Hospitality. Chef João creates and develops menus, negotiates with suppliers, trains staff, oversees health and safety responsibilities, and ensures the highest standards for food delivery. He has over 13 years of experience in the business. We also have with us David Monteiro. He's the Stewarding, Hygiene, and Health and Safety Manager at Shangri-La Hotel. David is an acclimatized professional with 14 years of inclusive experience in food safety, hygiene, stewarding, health and safety of five-star hotels in Mumbai, Oman, USA, Qatar, and Dubai. His area of expertise is excellence in kitchen cleanliness, food safety, hygiene, HACCP, ISO standards, and expertise in auditing and daily learning of new ways to develop his scope of responsibilities. We also have Hala Makhoul. She is the group's food safety manager at Boecker International and a certified trainer for food hygiene, HACCP, ISO 22000 trainings, and a consultant for food safety management systems with 15 years of experience. And finally, we have Sam Jones. He's a consultant at Food People. Food People are the region's first and only food and beverage specific talent consultancy. They consult and collaborate with industry leaders to deliver strategic, people centric solutions to enhance their teams and businesses. Sam is a true foodie who has hands on restaurant operations knowledge, as well as extensive recruitment and talent acquisition experience. Thank you so much for being on our panel today, and welcome to all of you. I'm just going to quickly start the session with a very basic topic, or rather point, that is the importance of training in the kitchen. Why is training so important? Shall we start with you, Mr. Jean, because you are a hospitality director, so we want to know a little more about the importance of training in the kitchen.
Hey, good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you for having me with you on this panel. It's a great honor for me. Well, it's not only about how to train people to handle food. It's basically now how to embed this attitude within all the trainees, all the kitchen staff and trainers within a kitchen facility. Because as you know, it's not only about handling food, it's about also how we keep the food safe, how we keep ourselves safe, and how we can also deliver the best safe and hygienic and healthy food for our customers. And lately, during the last 2 years with COVID-19 and all what's happening, people are now more and more concerned about what they are eating and who's handling their food and who is basically maybe cultivating the fresh food, who's getting their meat, their chicken, their poultry, their fish, anything with the whole supply chain process until receiving it into a kitchen, how it's handled there, how it's prepared, how it's stored. So all of that has become one of the major concerns for the end consumer, and is now one of our major concerns as vocational training centers. That's why it's not now only about delivering training which end by an examination or a written examination. Now it's more into certifying those persons by different international bodies and validating this certification on yearly basis. Sometimes also it's based on every 6 months, just to guarantee that this training or this knowledge and information are really being practiced very well into the whole process, well, from the delivery of the food, from the receiving basically of the food, until the process, the production, and the service, the servicing at the end. So, as mentioned, Shanti, it's now one of the major concerns. It's now one of the major outcomes from any vocational training within kitchen facility or even within any food, all food handlers basically in the food industry.
Thank you, João. Thank you so much. Hala, would you like to add to that?
Yes, I would like to. I would like to add a point that João started with. It's not enough the training, we need to build a culture. So food safety, we need to build a culture, especially that whenever we are working in a kitchen, we have people from different nationalities, different background. So they are not thinking the same. Each one is coming with a different culture with him. So whenever they are all together in the kitchen, this is where we need to set ground rules. And this is where the training is important. So it's not only telling them what to do, but it's to install it as a culture in a day-to-day. It's a habit that will start with them in the morning, end up at the end of their shift, and the same the next day. So this is the challenge normally whenever we encounter in most of the kitchen. It's to build this food safety culture. And it will come with training, it will come with repetition, and it will come with supervision. Because most of the mistakes that take place in the kitchen, we have a lot that are related to human nature, be it personal hygiene, being lack of knowledge, when it comes to food safety points, but we cannot blame the people. We cannot start saying why you did not do that if we don't inform them before. So step one, it's to inform properly. Step two, it's to monitor the information, that they actually properly understood it. The exam itself is not enough. So we need to go on site and to witness the practices. And this is why the inspection is important as well. And then we see the outcome. Great, the monitoring is there. Do we have any breaches? Do we need to trigger any corrective action? Could it be repeating the training? Could it be taking specific situation on site? And this is where I emphasize, again, a food safety culture is a must, especially with the pandemic happening around us. It's actually very stressing for the F&B. They had to close, they had to open again, they had to restart from scratch. The people, we have a lot who left the country, we had to engage new ones again. So these are real challenges that we faced during the pandemic that added on the headache of a normal food safety practices, I would say.
Thank you so much, Hala. Very well said. Chef, I'd like to bring this question to you. You're at ground zero, you're in the kitchen. Why do you think training is important, especially in today's atmosphere?
First of all, good morning. Thank you so much for this. Food training is important in the kitchen because from the scratch, we can guarantee the customer will leave our restaurant happy and healthy. This is the first point. And I agree with Alon, what she said about the training. As I said always, I believe the written exams are not enough. And 90% of the cases, written exams just going to lead to the misunderstanding and to the mistake. Why? Because of the different nationalities we have inside of the kitchens, different levels of English we have in one restaurant, in a hotel, and so on, is not the same. As I said to all of my staff during all my career, I don't want you to do a test. I want to see you practice. I put always my sous chefs or my chef de parties or inclusive myself to monitoring all the staff from the first day of they join the company, because I want them to understand if I do, you need to do as well. And I need to show him, I need to introduce in them brain what is a food safety culture, because it's not like the time of our grandparents, the things was done on the top of the table and that's it. No, nowadays with the COVID times, every single member of our staff is a key point to deliver correct food, healthy food, and to the customer to leave our restaurants or hotels happy, without any food poisoning or any other issue. Food training for me, since the very beginning, is one of the key points. This should be always one of the KPIs of the staff, is to show us to keep practicing and to keep the high standards of not even what municipality required, is the high standards we want to be, always one step ahead of municipality. And some people think it's crazy the way hand wash, but hand wash is very important. Is a cross-contamination, is a carrying of bacteria to one side to another side. And the hand wash is the most important. And we need to make the staff to understand when we ask them, when you finish one task, you should wash your hands. It's not because we are just how you can say, it's not because we want them to lose time to wash them hands. It's just because we want them to understand if you finish one task, ready to eat food, sanitizing of vegetables or whatever is important. We clean, we sanitize and start a new task. And this is the most important in the kitchen. It doesn't matter if it's a hot section, cold section, pastry, it doesn't matter, all the same. We need to keep always monitoring. We cannot expect an inspector to come and to give the knowledge to our staff. It needs to start from us, it needs to start from the base. This is the same. We don't build a house from the roof, we build a house from the bottom. And this is what we need to keep every single day of our jobs. We need to keep telling them. When we have our teams all together, we should ask random questions. We should ask them, okay, show me how you wash your hands. Show me how you sanitize. Show me the dilution of the chemicals. Because chemicals is important. We need to know the dilution of the chemicals. Not all of us have the access of the auto dilution of the chemicals. A few of us, we are using different brands, not the most famous ones, because the budgets are different. We need to know, we need to inform the staff the proper dosage of the chemicals. They need to understand it. All of this is very important to deliver good quality and healthy food to the customer. Food and safety is one of the key points.
Very well said, Chef. I completely agree with you. David, would you like to add to this from your perspective?
Yeah, from my perspective, we need to see external organization. Basically, we most of us in Dubai, we carry a lot of casual staff. So this is a important task. You know, when it comes to stewarding area, we see a lot of casual staff coming on board, and this makes us more. You know, we might see people coming, but they're not talented, they're not educated, or they might have education, but they might have a barrier of a language. So this comes in place. So when we say training, training can be a paper based or it can be a presentation, but training can also be a practical knowledge by leading by example. So as a leader, you need to be practical and then to present yourself how to do the convenience of the stewarding operation. For example, doing a pot can be also a contamination carrier to a food and making it unsafe. For example, a person also is not doing a proper pot wash or dishwashing can also lead to an food safety food that is going to be unsafe. So that is also be a point to be highlighted. Apart from this, today we are talking about COVID-19. Yes, we are talking today COVID-19 because it's more into health and safety. So health and safety leads up all the food safety and stuff. So it becomes a priority for everyone. So when we say casuals, they stay outside. How we can make them aware is basically by providing a proper guidance on the posters, videos, or some instance of scenarios where they can understand through a pictures or through a demonstration, which will help them. So I preferably say that your practical knowledge will help in training sessions rather than having a paper-based presentation. Paper-based presentation can go into like education stuff, but practical demonstration will help our casuals team over which having a language barrier. As Miss Hala said, that there is a different nationalities. Different nationalities also speak different languages. And definitely there will be a lot of glitches and there will be a lot of challenges speaking a different language. We all not speak every language, so definitely posters can be make awareness through different languages, but demonstration can help by doing an action and representing that certain training will help also to enhance our training questions.
Thank you, David. Sam, I'd like to, turn the question to you in a little different way. Hala spoke about how, the COVID-19 pandemic has seen staff leave and come back. So training has, become a little more challenging right now, because you already had people you've trained and now you've got new people. What kind of demands are you seeing as a talent acquisition expert and a recruitment person in the food industry? What kind of demands are you seeing from restaurants today for the right kind of staff in the kitchen?
Yeah, I think as you touched on, there was obviously a lot of talent that left the country because of the pandemic, and then a turnover within restaurants. It tends to depend really upon the seniority of the position. So on the more senior culinary positions, for example, businesses are looking now for people who can come in and create, but also then implement and audit these SOPs and procedures, particularly around hygiene, to really focus on what's going on there. I think chef touched on it, on maybe the team members in the kitchen. It's more about getting them into the kitchen and having those actual practical skills. So people may ask, have they got basic food hygiene certificates? Have they got an understanding? And they'll come into the kitchen and do a trial. You might look for the basics, such as, are they hand washing properly? Are they using the correct board for chopping food? But from there, it's then when they join the business, they'll go through an induction specific to that business. And then it becomes the routine, doesn't it? So it's health and safety is ultimately everybody's responsibility. And it's when they're in the kitchen on a daily basis, it's having that, I suppose, the head chef or sous chef on top of these guys to make sure that they're doing these tasks correctly and they repeat it daily. And then it becomes a second nature. It becomes a habit from there. So it depends, like I say, there is a demand for people who have the experience and are trained, but equally, it very much comes down to what they do on the site when they join the business as well.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much. What I'd like to talk about two things. Number one is with the COVID restrictions, has there been a change in the number of staff members you have in the kitchen at a given time? Also, what kind of staff are most important right now in the kitchen? I'd like to address this to a chef first, and then move on to the rest of the panelists.
Well, with the COVID, yes, we know we have a few restrictions. And from our side, we didn't reduce the team. We continue with exactly the same, even though we know it's a lot what is allowed to be inside of a place. But we cannot reduce because of the demands of the customers we have on a single day. And regarding of importance, for me, all of them are important, from the bottom to the top. And as what Sam was saying, nowadays we need to replace the staff they left during COVID time and didn't come back. And when I'm recruiting people, I'm recruiting not only because of their skills, I'm recruiting as well because of the knowledge of health and safety. And if I'm recruiting for a certain position, chef de parties above, the minimum required is the PIC, because they're going to be the tutors of the other ones. And because of this, this is the minimum required I have. For the commies, I'm always training them, and the first thing I do always is the basic food hygiene for them to understand, plus the daily basis with a demonstration, what to do, how to do. But what to say, for us, restaurant industry and the hotel industry was bad in all the points. Good staff left, number of clients reduced, spaces shutting down. What we try nowadays, and when I say when we try, is all of our my colleagues, we always try to bring the best staff on board, and we try always our best to do the extra mile to deliver good product to the customer. And that extra mile maybe is what make Gates success, because Gates during the COVID time and after COVID time became even more stronger, because we really put all our efforts on our staff, and we really coach them on the correct way regarding of food and safety. And every time we have inspections, our inspectors are happy to see what we are delivering and how we are handling. And thanks to God, we have a owner that allowed us to bring the correct people on board.
Thank you, Chef. Thank you so much. João, would you like to add to that in terms of the kind of staff that are currently most important in the kitchen, and also the COVID restrictions that you've seen in terms of your institute?
Actually, I don't have a lot to add. All the panelists basically have just said everything that I might have thought about, but I just need to add one small thing, that COVID has enforced us to keep updating again and again our policies and procedures regarding the training and vocational training covering the food safety and hygiene topics. And we had also to add to our diplomas and to our courses that we usually cover 4 tracks in the hospitality, whether the food service management, culinary arts, hotel administration operation, or even the rooms division. We have now an induction period that start with all the courses focusing on the food safety and hygiene before enrolling them within specific and focus topics on the food safety and hygiene. And as mentioned before, it's not now just ended by written examination. It's leading by example, it's role play, it's a regular inspection, it's refreshing courses. This has been really a major thing that has to be enrolled with all the programs that are delivered covering the food industry.
Thank you so much, João. Hala, David, would you like to add to this question?
I would just say, when it comes to the COVID, true, we had a lot of restrictions, but if you think about the golden rule of food safety, it's practically the same, you know. The number 1 rule in food safety was hand washing. So this is what we always repeat when it comes to the COVID-19 precautions, I would say. We are already following all that. It was more or less of a panic mode at the end, specifically from the customer point of view. Could it be transmitted through food? No, it cannot go through the food. So at the beginning, we had to educate and awareness for the public before, and that was the number 1 challenge for the F&B. You know, they were already fighting, and with the lockdown, closing their places, should I do a delivery? How can I manage? And then you have the public in front of them. No, I don't want to take this. I might get the virus. So that was the number 1 struggle, I guess, if you correct me if I'm wrong, for the F&B. And then great, we had to integrate training for the employees, but it's part of the food safety, you know. After all, food safety is covering bacteria and viruses, which is part of the COVID-19. Definitely, we had to add social distancing, we had to add the shift, the number of people, restriction, etc., which is our new normal, and we are still living with it until now. So we are adapting, people are adapting, and this is very good for the human nature. Otherwise, we could not survive those 2 years. Who would believe in 2019 that we will be reaching this now? If you tell me we will have a pandemic, everything will close, kids at home, no one would believe that. And then we survived. We made it happen. We lived our new normal. We trained our employees. We managed the lockdown, the change, everything was okay. Employees leaving the restaurant. So all that was okay. And even the training, we had to adapt our training. We had to go virtual training for some of the people in order to manage to open on time and make sure everything was ready for the restaurants. Shanti, you're still here?
I would like to add a couple of things after Ms. Hala. Regarding this COVID-19, we when initially started in November 2019, we were not aware of what is COVID-19. We were just considering as a flu. But normally, all our staff were also not aware, and including ourselves, being a technical team and being so much of having a vast knowledge on food safety and health and safety, we were still not aware of infection control, how we can control this. Unfortunately, we had only 2 cases in Dubai, and we were just aware that it's just a flu. And now, when it comes to current scenario, we are not aware that there are countries which are very high risk, and moderate and low. But still, we don't know which country is going to be low risk or high risk. Still, bringing a talent on board and recruiting people from outsources other countries is still being a restriction, and it's very challenging. Now we have to make sure that there's a source that we can bring up in-house, and we can make people multi-talented, especially being in F&B, how they can they can go into cross training and do pastries or stuff. That is, they can support the entire team. So this is basically is a kind of teamwork, rather than depending on a person to recruit from other countries, and we wait for another 6 months to get a pandemic over, or to lower the risk of country, and then we get visa. It will be very difficult for us. So making a multi-talent, I would suggest that this can help us a lot in different scenarios.
Thank you, David. Sam, are you seeing something like this in terms of demands from your customers? Are they looking for people who could be multi-skilled, could do several tasks together in this scenario?
In honesty, not that much. I think if we look at the wider recruitment picture, let's say in F&B, for the last 6 to 8 weeks or so, we've seen here anyway a real kind of pickup in confidence in terms of new projects coming on board, in terms of businesses looking to hire again. And I think from speaking to industry leaders, the feeling is that things are on the way back. We've obviously got Expo coming later this year. We're in a great position compared to a lot of countries around the world in terms of the vaccination rollout, and even what we can do. There's still a lot of countries on lockdown. So I think maybe 6 to 12 months ago, there might have been because there was less bodies in the kitchen, and they were looking to get a little bit more out of people. But now, honestly, I think from what we see, that the demand is there for the skilled talent again, for the specialists, for your specialist pastry chefs who've trained in France, for example, and these kind of real niche skill sets. So I guess that, look, there will be some businesses that do want to kind of merge two roles into one, but I think on the whole, we're seeing a real uplift in terms of confidence, like I say, and you know, the sign that hopefully normality is as close as it can be, and we'll continue on that path.
Thank you, Sam. I'm going to move on to to front of the house, basically obviously the restaurant area and all of that. How different is training the front of house staff from training the kitchen staff? Any of you would like to take that up first? Maybe
if you allow me, I will be the one starting. That is a big challenge, but still it's manageable. Front of the house nowadays, they start to understand more because of the cross trainings, because of during the lockdown and post lockdown, when the team starts to work more together, they start to understand all these procedures, and when we explain them what is the SOPs we need to follow, how we're going to follow, and so on, now it's more easy than before. Why? Because not only the staff is afraid to the restaurant to shut down and all of us to be employed, but because the staff understand we have families, the clients have families, and everybody needs to protect themselves. And when we come to the trainings, it's easy now than before. But when I say easier, much easier. They are open to understand. They want to show us, okay, you teach me this one, I want to show you I learn. I want to show you on the daily basis what you told me is what I'm gonna do. If we were speaking like maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, yes, it will be a big challenge to teach them, to enforce these rules and these measures to them.
Very true. In fact, I think front of house staff is the one that actually comes most in contact with people. So, when it comes to their personal hygiene, it's definitely much more, strict. Hala, would you like to add to that?
Yes, this is what I was going to say. Whenever you work inside the kitchen, we normally emphasize on temperature control, temperature abuse, cross-contamination, equipment, etc., different color-coded. But when you go to the front of the house, we emphasize a lot on the personal hygiene, on the cleaning and disinfection, how you remove the things from the table, how you present to the clients. So those are normally the training topics are included for the one in the kitchen, but front of the house would go into too much details when it comes to temperature abuse, etc. We emphasize a lot on the personal hygiene, the hand washing, the uniform itself, the bad behavior when it comes to also no sneezing, no coughing, etc. The nails, any signs of sickness, illnesses. You add to them now the COVID restriction between the social distancing, the mask, the protections, all that, the temperature control as well, the body temperature I'm talking about here. And we emphasize on the cleaning and disinfection. They have to be sure that they are serving with clean utensils, that the dishes are clean. They have to monitor as well and to make sure that the dish served to the client is hot at the desired temperature, etc. So this normally we emphasize on the people from the front of the house.
João, would you like to add to that?
Yes, actually, I would like to add something here that nowadays our programs, or basically Bunyan's programs that we are delivering, are basically not following the old-fashioned ones. That means we are focusing on theoretical side, yes, for the front of the house and back of the house students. They are having their in-practical classes within the academies. However, they are having also a live internship within the industry every 3 months. That means they are having a 3 months in the academies, theoretical and practical side, and then they are going outside to the industry to work on site, to have the role play as a real employee there, and to practice everything they have learned, whether theoretical or practical, the most important thing in this actually is the evaluation and assessment process that we are using, whether from their trainer inside the academy or instructor, or even though the direct manager in on-site in the industry. That means we are having different evaluations, different assessment programs. And let's say if our diploma is for 2.5 years, they would have at least 9 months an internship live into the industry. That is basically during our time, it wasn't available and it wasn't present for us. We were just studying in colleges or in hospitality schools, and then we can get our own summer job to enhance our skills and development. Nowadays, no, we are getting this for all our students. And we are not only having, as mentioned before, it's not only about examination, it's about practicing, it's about following the best practices, whether for the food safety and hygiene, or even though for the front of the house and back of the house skills required.
Thank you so much, João. João, I wanted to ask you another thing. You talked about how your students are actually going to restaurants and interning there while they're doing their course. How has the scenario in Saudi Arabia changed right now when it comes to the food service industry? Can you give us some insights on that?
Yeah. Basically, as you know, the Saudi Arabia is now open for within the Vision 2030, and the tourism, hospitality, and tourism is one of the major goals within the coming 5 years. So, in addition to what's the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Health enhancing their policies and procedures to secure and to guarantee the best services within the best practices and the highest quality in that, to just open in 2030 for all people all around the world, and to get the best experience and the quality of the experience. In addition to all that, on site, on the ground, the food chains, the hotels, they are adopting new SOPs. They are adopting very high developed policies and procedures, and they are enrolling their employees, their trainees just everywhere to get more skills, more development, more awareness, more knowledge and information within the food safety, hygiene, or even though with the quality of the service that they are aiming to provide. And as everybody of us know, basically they are targeting to lead the Middle East within this industry. Yes, they do have the assets. Yet they have a lot of hidden assets. However, it's going to be very challengeable to get the level required up to the highest expectations of the tourists, or even though the foreigners that will think that will try to think to get, why should I go to Saudi Arabia instead of going to any other place? So the government is really supporting this. The government is supporting the locals to get into the industry, to get the best practices, to get educated, trained, certified in all the tracks within the industry. So, and I think within the coming 2 years, we're going to just start to have the first generation within the Saudis that have a real and skilled, high skills within the industry, whether on the theoretical part, practical part, or even the best experience for the best customer experience, basically.
Thank you. That's great. That's really nice to hear. I do know that Saudi just recently opened up for eating out and dining out as such. So I think it's very interesting to see how that side of the industry is going to grow. I'm going to go back to the point we were discussing with David. David, can you tell us a little about how different front of house training is compared to the kitchen?
First of all, we need to understand the level of risk what we are going to carry out from the front office to the lower risk. For me, I consider the front of the house as a very high risk area because there's a direct contact between the customer and the food and the service. So there should be a different scenarios, and there should be a different training on a biocide and disinfection. So disinfection can help them, personal hygiene can help them in terms of moderating the level of high risk to the coming down to low risk. And understanding the COVID-19 regulations, understanding the guidelines and the procedures and policies will help them to train. So how do we do that training is based on the making a criteria of each training basis to each individuals, and making a demonstration on a practical basis, which will help us to train the front of the house. Now, there is a second scenario that can be also a disinfection and biocides that we use. We have to make sure our biocides and disinfection that we use, how to handle an emergency situation when it comes to COVID-19. If there is an emergency in the restaurant, how do we handle? So we need to create an emergency team among our front of the house, especially in the restaurant. For example, one of the guests feels down with COVID-19. What is the first step we are going to do? How are we going to interact? Shall we get scared? No, we have to make sure proper ERT, emergency response team, is there to handle the situation during this COVID-19. So PPE becomes a very, very major important during this. So in case of there is another case that happens in your restaurant within your team, what is the first step you're going to do? Are we going to close the restaurant? No, because we cannot just shut down the business and just continue. Yes, we need to make sure our health and safety is very important. Apparently, we need to find a solution by having an emergency response team. That is also very important. And designing the guidelines and procedures among the front of the house will enhance our facility upcoming years. We can reduce the infection and can also have control the infections carrying out from the front out to the back areas. So now when it comes to chef, what chef should be doing? When it comes to chef, when he's cooking, he should make sure that all the food safety regulations are followed regarding the temperature controls, regarding the personal hygiene, chilling, hot holding, cold holding, your preparation of disinfection of or acidification of your sushi, starting all the ready-to-eat items. Your cleaning and disinfection is controllable. How often do you clean? So the sequence of cleaning should be encouraged to have at least 30 to 1 hour. So this will also bring up the, you can, a lot of things that we can control. And on the basis of my assessment in the areas, I have developed a plan that I do every 1 hour. So it depends on each location, like food court, it is more a frequency. You can increase the frequency of doing it half an hour. In this way, you can train your team on the basis of your requirements. And when it comes to stewarding area, stewarding is a very low risk area, but still it can be considered as a high risk area because everywhere you can find a stainless steel in stewarding area. All your pots are stainless steel. So stainless steel can be a carrier of any contamination. It can carry a lot of viruses probably, or it can also carry a bacteria. And if you don't disinfect, or you don't do a chemical or a thermal disinfection in your stewarding area, can lead to a major food safety violation, or it can also carry a major food poisoning probably because of the contamination that you carry. Now we have to make sure our team, which is in evacuated and stewarding area, we basically encourage people to do chemical trainings, how to dilute your chemicals, how often do you need to clean your areas, and which are the major and low risk or moderate levels of risk that has to encourage. So this is basically I carry on my areas. yeah, this gives a brief about how you can train your own teams in a different way of taking a scenario. By taking a small scenario or taking a physical training, which again I'm repeating, physical training will help people to gain their knowledge rather than having a poster, putting a poster. It can just create a awareness, but it will not create the physical knowledge of having the regarding COVID-19. So yes, all of the team members needs to know the what are the symptoms. And today's generation, today's young generation, they watch YouTube, they watch Google, they know what is COVID-19 is all about, what are the symptoms they have. So we don't have to tell them what are the symptoms, but then we need to study our Delta virus, we need to see Alpha or Beta, we need to study. This is our job, technical team, and we can put an awareness in case of you have infected with Delta, what are the terms and what are the symptoms which are newly generating, or what are the variants are changing, why the mutation are changing. So what is the difference between virus and a bacteria, can be also how you can kill this, or how you can get rid of it. So this can also help. In case you get positive, what are the terms and what are the requirements in case, because some people when they get positive, they go into a, basically it's like a this thing that they are very sick, but unfortunately it's not a sickness. You have a lot of stress on you that can also lead to a sickness. So this is also a part of a training that we can conduct a small session for our people. In case you get a positive, what are the steps you can do. So this is just an addition what I do as a best practices. I hope it will help with the panel to discuss further. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Sam, just going to ask you about staff in the front of house. What kind of demand are you seeing for front of house nowadays, and any other comments you have on this aspect?
Yeah, again, I think as I just touched upon, the overall demand is significantly up in the last couple of months. As I say, the confidence is there. It feels like things are really moving in the right direction. I think in terms of training, obviously the specific things, specific tasks or duties that are solely suitable for front of house or back of house, but the core values are the same, really, isn't it? It's about, yes, you can study them, but it's about practicing them hands-on, practicing them day to day, learning them so they become that second nature, and really having that best practice across the industry. Yeah.
Thank you. We're almost out of time. So what I'm going to quickly talk about is two more aspects. One is about training in cleaning and disinfection. We've touched upon it a little. So I just want to talk about the kind of chemicals and equipments that you guys think are important today. And I also want to talk a little about room service. It is a small part when we talk about the kitchen, but it is also a very important part when you're talking about taking the food from the kitchen to the room and serving it to your customers. So let's talk about right now the technologies that are used. We'll start with you, Chef. Can you tell us a little about the cleaning and disinfection technologies that you are using currently?
Well, now let's say Diversity, they come up with new systems and new products. The latest one was what's it called? The chemical to clean the tables for the COVID. And now I don't recall the name. That one for us was the first step of all this pandemic situation. Regarding of kitchen side, the best chemicals, the best way we are cleaning is the same what we did before. As Hala said, we are keeping following the procedures, the health and safety procedures. What we did more, we just reduced the timing of cleaning. Instead to be 1 hour, we reduced for 30 minutes. We are keeping enforcing. We need to sanitize. We need to clean. We need to keep piping. We need to keep sterilizing. You need to keep the washing machines at a certain temperature to make sure everything comes sterilized from the machine. Again, all the procedures was done before. What we did, we just enforced them. We just continue practicing, maybe better than what was before. All the chemicals, they remain the same. They just create a new one for the front of the house, for the tables. And that's it. Nowadays, everything stays the same. Even in this pandemic situation, we didn't change nothing. We just enforced.
Thank you, Chef. Hala, would you like to add to this?
Yes, I would like to say concerning cleaning, like the chef said, honestly, in the F&B, we simply enforce. We have everything, you know, from the cleaning schedule. This is what we normally teach in training. Build your cleaning schedule. What are you cleaning? When are you cleaning? The frequency, and what are the tools, and what are the chemical product that you are using, be it a cleaner or a disinfectant or a sterilizer. So we have to start from here. And then we work on the frequency. We have to increase, for example, and we have to watch out at every single step inside your kitchen until reaching the front of the house. So be it receiving of the raw material. How do you receive the raw material? Are you disinfecting them? How do you store them? Are you cleaning the receiving area? Then you move to the fridge and freezers and dry store. Same procedure. So all that is normally described under your cleaning schedule. So for the food handlers, they are aware of this. We are simply we are including or incorporating the COVID-19 guidelines and precaution inside our cleaning schedule. So we have to watch out the packaging material. We have to watch out even the human contact, the delivery, the people who are coming, how are we receiving and how are we behaving with each other. And then we come inside the kitchen, the stations where we are cleaning before starting, after finishing, until going outside to the front of the house. So all that is combined as well with a very good personal hygiene, because cleaning and disinfection alone with a bad personal hygiene is useless. So they need as well to know how to clean and what are the precautions for cleaning, because when you are cleaning, watch out not to mix the chemical together. You might bring a bigger problem here. So the fumes, explosion, so they need to be trained on the proper usage of chemicals, be it a disinfectant or a cleaner, a cleaning material, or the sterilizer. So that as well, the stewarding department should be trained. They need to follow up all the information of the manufacturer. Normally they should train them. They need to read the technical data sheet, the MSDS, the material safety data sheet as well. So as long as all that is in place, we can guarantee a safe environment.
Thank you, Hala. João, you guys are at the the base of training staff, training future staff of kitchens and restaurants. So how much emphasis do you all place on training them in cleaning and disinfection, especially now?
Basically, as Hala said and the chef just mentioned a while ago, we already have that. It's not, we're not implementing something new. We are just enforcing what we were doing. We are just maybe adding more frequencies. We are just having more inspection practices. That's it. But what we are doing now is part of the enforcing thing. That previously we were just like delivering some training concerning the dilution of the chemicals, how to mix, when to mix, where to use, let's say for the stewarding department, and some knowledge and information for the kitchen staff. Now we are enrolling all the industry employees, future employees, trainees, whether in direct contact or not within this program. Because you don't know, we can't now predict what might happen within the coming 1 hour. You know, nothing is predictable anymore. We need to have the knowledge spread all over our trainees, all over our students, which are basically the future food handlers and the future servers and the future hotel managers and the future supervisors, etc. So this is just fall into the enforcing the things and not implementing new practices, basically.
Thank you so much, João. We have a couple of questions, some of which have been answered, one of which rather has kind of been answered. But Andrew Pennington asks a general question to the panel. Who is accountable in hospitality for good hygiene? Is it the state, the industry, the institution, or the customers? Would any of you like to answer that? I think the answer would be all of them. It has to be a symbiosis between all these aspects. You know, the institution is going to set standards. The state is going to set standards. The institution is going to ensure that they're implemented. The customers have to, create that kind of demand for them to continue to do so. So I think I answer it myself. Any parting comments from our panel? Any of you have any kind of parting comments on training or the importance, something that we may have missed out and as part of our discussion? No? Okay, great. So thank you so much. I'm going to conclude here. I'm going to quickly conclude our entire event as well. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for having been part of the panel discussion, for giving us your insights. We've learned a lot. And we're going to definitely learn more on training in the food service industry. And I'm also going to conclude the event. We conclude the first ever food service hygiene dialogues. I thank all the panelists and presenters who took their time out for the past 2 days to be part of this event. It's definitely been a pleasure to learn from you all. And I'm sure I speak for our audience as well. I would also like to thank our sponsors, Platinum sponsor Reza Hygiene, Silver sponsors EBSCO, Hygiene International, Essity, and Magic Touch for making this event possible. Thank you all for your support and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.